Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to the one of the first videos in the Marvel United X-Men campaign. So I've done the videos on all the first Marvel United stuff that came out, which had Avengers, Spider-Man, all the Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, all the cinematic universe type characters, the Defenders, all those cool guys. So this set is all based on X-Men. So I've already done the unboxing for the core set, which I have in my hands right here. And I'm going to be doing a series of videos on all of the other new expansions. So of course we have First Class, X-Force, Phoenix Spy, Days of Future Past, Deadpool, Special Fantastic Four cameo, Age of Apocalypse way up here at the top, Blue Team, Gold Team, Stretch Goals, we got special dashboards we'll go through, plastic tokens, some extra locations. So there's a lot of content. Each one's going to be its own separate video, but if you want to know a little bit more about gameplay, I probably either done it in the original Marvel video, or I'll end up maybe making a new one with the X-Men characters. So there's a little bit of that. So I'm just going to hop in on what is in everything. I just wanted to do a quick setup on the beginning of these videos. So if you enjoy whichever video this is, check out the rest of them to see all of the other campaign for the X-Men sets that are coming out. So without further ado, we'll jump into this video. Alright, so after the X-Men, we have X-Force. So this is Cable's paramilitary squad. So of course we got Cable, Domino, and then first of his two students, we have Cannonball and Shatterstar. Of course, there's other characters that joined on later, or also part of the team that aren't in this set, because we can only have 4 characters per set, or 5 in some case. But we also have Strife, Cable's evil clone. So we're going to jump in and switch these guys. So you're going to imagine these guys are going to hit a little bit more aggressive. With Cable's philosophy of get them before they get you is an aggressive team who actively attacks evil mutants every chance they get. So like I just said, they're a strike force. So they're new hazardous locations. So we can add some interesting challenges there. So we're going to get, all the different cards we need. And a new stop sign symbol. Not stop sign, I guess it's a yield sign maybe. Hazard sign. Makes more sense. Or even more dangerous force here, so carefully consider whether it's worth to clear a threat only to deal with the location's intrinsic menace. So you're going to set up 3 hazard locations. Among them, use marked with the little hand symbol. It can find the other such as Fantastic Four and Apocalypse's Horseman set. When a hero ends their turn on a hazardous location that has no threat, they must resolve the end of turn effect if possible. The back end of turn effect are mandatory. Or these black end of turn effects are mandatory. So yeah, it's very interesting. So we get the challenge card, just a reminder of what that does. Other than that, we don't need the challenge card for anything else. So we're going to get 4 locations. So we're going to start off with a nice location. So this is the Adirondack Mountains, which X-Force has used as a base before. End of the turn, you may gain 1 attack token. You may exchange action tokens with another hero in this location. So it's kind of fun. You can trade up what you guys need, work together. Makes sense. So of course we're going to fight Strife. So we're going to get Strife's secret base. Which says as a hazard. So end of the turn, you must discard any 1 action token if you have any. So yeah, again, it's like you have to clear the threats. Like sometimes clearing these threats is what you need to do. Especially since these guys do a lot of damage, it might be easy to get rid of some of them. But is it worth potentially having to have an area now you can't land on? We have the Morlock Tunnels, which were known for the Morlock Massacre. So each end of the turn, you must add a civilian and a thug to this location. So the marks are going to cram up in here very fast. And then unfortunately, you have to keep wiping them all out. Kind of a situation. And then finally, Murder World. Arcade's Murder World. Giant pinball machine that you fought the X-Men with. You must discard one card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. So at least it goes back to your deck so you don't lose a life. But yeah, having less cards does not help. But yeah, those are some interesting things. You gotta make the game a little bit more challenging. Alright, to start off, we're gonna look at our leader of the team. We have Cable. So there's gonna be Cable's miniature. This is definitely a 90s Cable. Pouches, shoulder pads, knee pads, big giant gun, giant knife, the walkie-talkie on his face. I love this. Is like the pinnacle of his 90s-ness. Alright, come on. Card. Alright, so let's look at what Cable does. So he's got a little eye picture. Oh, we don't want to start with that. Let's just start with the basics. So he's got, of course, a movement, some heroics, some attacks, some double attacks, a couple of wilds, and then he's going to have his abilities. So he has 2 copies of Psychic Mastery. I'm going to see if I can zoom this up a little bit more. There we go. We'll maybe push him back a little bit farther. Alright. Each hero draws 1 card and then they discard 1 card from their hand to the bottom of their deck. Yeah, so he's kind of like sort of playing around with like what's coming up and how to strategize with his team. Oh, sorry, I had cardboard running into me. Alright, then we have 2 copies of Techno-Active Manipulation. Discard 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck to perform 2 wilds. So limiting yourself but giving you 2 extra actions can definitely be beneficial for what you need. And then finally, 2 copies of Techno-Organic Physiology. So this would be referencing his metal arm. So attack, and you may draw cards, and you have 3 cards in your hand. So it works really well with those other ones, where they keep getting bonuses for shuffling cards back in, and then this will let him pull his card right back out. So it kind of works very well in tandem with himself. So that is cool there. Alright. That was Cable. So Cable's second in command would be Nina Domino, Nina Thurman. Cable, who would be Nathaniel Dayspring Summers. I can never pronounce it. It's an Anasakin. It's the Future Clan. So yeah, his name. This is Nina Thurman, also known as Domino, who has luck-based powers. I guess I didn't really mention it. I should mention Cable. Also, he has, his power is telepathy, and telekinesis. So he has that, but he was raised in the future. It's a whole thing. I'll go into it in just a little bit. I'll go into it when I get, a little bit later. So here, I'll be standing on this Sentinel hand. But Domino's power is a luck generation. So she can generate, essentially she has a luck field around her. So things just happen to, she shoots, she tends to hit her target. If she falls off a building, there's something for her to land on. So it kind of shows where she's doing like a blind shot. It's a movement. Here she has a heroic ability. She's picking up a 4-leaf clover, dodging a missile that was coming at her. She's got some attacks. Here's a move attack. So she's kind of getting around. Of course, she's going to get her wilds. And then she has her special cards. So she has Probability Manipulation. If this is the latest Domino card in the storyline, BAM effects of henchmen are canceled during the next villain turn. And then she has one this is the last one, overflow effects are ignored. And a third one that says, this is the last one, villains cannot move. So it's kind of fun. She gets a bunch of different options. Each one has a wild, so she also gets to do whatever she needs to do. And then our final one is Master Assassin, who has 3 attacks to a single villain or henchman in your location. So you have to be with them, but you can move beforehand. And then you get 3 attacks. They're definitely going to do some massive damage. So that's fun. Interesting little card. So a quick thing about Cable was, if you didn't know, just going over here, Cyclops, Scott Summers' kid, with, this is so convoluted, comic books. It's his kid with Madeline Pryor, who is a clone of Jean Grey, from Mr. Sinister, who got the techno-organic virus from Apocalypse, trying to weaken him, because in the future he's Apocalypse's enemy, so he's trying to weaken him. So they sent him to the future, as a baby, to where they could combat, he could get trained to use his powers properly, basically survive, who was raised by the Asanakin, who is actually Rachel Summers, who's his sister from a different reality. Yes, it's all messed up. Anywho, so then he comes back in time as an adult to try and prevent Apocalypse well before, so his future doesn't happen. That's why he's older than his dad. And then there's a lot more convoluted stuff I can get into other than that. But yeah, he's basically Apocalypse's arch nemesis, his son. But his techno-organic arm, takes over his body. He has to use most of his mental powers, his telekinesis, especially to keep it in control. If he doesn't, it would take over him. So he's more of a military guy than using his mutant abilities. If he didn't have his abilities, he'd probably be one of the most powerful mutants out there, but that's what that is. And there's other stuff with that, which I'm not going to get into right now. Here is Cannonball. He's fun Samuel Guthrie. He has the ability to project himself in kinetic blasts, usually, from his waist. He can apply it to other parts of his body if he needs to, like his fist and stuff, but he usually just uses his jet propulsion. So he's going to, of course, have a lot of movement abilities. He's a good old southern boy. He also has a field around him that while he is blasting, he or whoever is near him is invulnerable. Plus, he's supposedly an immortal, an external, so he can't die. But that's been back and forth whether that's true or not. Here's a movement heroic. Some attacks. Of course, move attacks. Move attacks is lots of movement. Movement heroic. A couple of wilds. Then he has 2 copies of his blast field, which I just mentioned. So he gains 1 movement token. You cannot take any damage until the beginning of your next turn. So while he's moving, he can't be hurt, essentially. Then he also has 2 copies of energy field propulsion. During this turn, each time you perform a move action, gain 1 attack token. So that's kind of fun. He has lots of movement. If you play this, you can move a bunch and then keep moving. And if you have some action tokens built up, like from his kinetic blast, or his blast field, you can generate more tokens and you can get there and hit guys really hard. So that's really fun. Then his mini is actually pretty dope. So yeah, big old blasting field. We do get some of his allies and stuff that he works with a lot in some of the other sets. He becomes leader of the X-Men, or he becomes an X-Man for a while, not the leader, he becomes an X-Man. But he also goes to space and he leads the New Mutants for a long time. Lots of other cool stuff with that character. Here we have Shatterstar. whose actual name I don't know, because I don't think they revealed it until very recently. But he also has a very messed up storyline, like most mutant characters. So he is from an alternate reality where he is trained as a warrior. That was originally what his thoughts. He wasn't necessarily a mutant, except then we find out that he is the son slash father of the clone of Longshot. It's very messed up. It's essentially like he's like the son of Longshot, but he also traveled back in time and it was like his father or grandfather at the same time. So it's really weird. But basically his ability is, besides having expert combat abilities, he can send shockwaves through his sword or through a weapon. That's why it's called Shatterstar, because he can shatter stuff. But he's also like combat junkie. He's this is one of his cooler costumes, his white one that he has. This cool head padding, very again 90s. Also more in the recent comic books, not as much during this era. He turned out that he is also a gay character, and he liked one of his other teammates, so that's actually kind of cool too. I think he was always just sort of gender binary fluid. I don't know the exact term for it. He's kind of like whatever. He's just like, because he's from an alternate reality or alternate thing, not from regular Earth, so like that stuff didn't mean the same to him as it meant to everybody else. Is more what I mean. Anywho, that has nothing to do with this character, or with this game. So you have movement, heroic, movement, attack. That's actually pretty cool, with the slash movement attack. Just the heroic. Got some wilds. And then we have some abilities. So he's got 2 copies of these vibratory shockwaves. So you may discard 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck to do 3 damage, split as you like, against in your and adjacent locations. So just exports characters really like to sacrifice cards to do a ton of extra damage. But then he also has healing factor. You may draw 3 cards and you have 3 cards in your hand. So you get to get those back very easily. So that is fun there. That's Shatterstar. That is all 5 of our heroes. Let's take a little bit closer look at him. Yeah, he's known for like the patting on the head, the tail. He's also got this awesome double-bladed sword. I don't know what the point of that is, other than it being cool. Because who wouldn't want a sword that has 2 blades? Alright, so then we have our villain. We have Strife. So Strife adds more complexity to Cable's already convoluted story. So Strife is a clone of Cable. The difference is he did not get the techno-organic virus. So he has access to all his powers. So he is super powerful. But he worships Apocalypse. Eventually tries to take over for Apocalypse. He's why he's Strife. Make matters even worse is that he turns Cable's son against him. And his son becomes Genesis. Yeah, and that's fun. So here he has his supervillain abilities if you want to play as him. Otherwise, his special effects are... He has lots of health, too. 12 if you have 4 players. Special rule, the Dark Riders. On each hero's turn, the first thug attack requires 2 hits to defeat. Then bam. Yeah. Let's see if we can move my camera over a bit so I don't have that glare with the small cards, but I did it with the bigger ones. Alright, we'll just go with that. If 1 or more token cannot be added to a location, turn all civilians and your thugs in the next location clockwise with any civilians. And then his BAM is deal 1 damage to each hero in Strike's location, add 1 thug to the next location clockwise. So he's going to try and fill up all these areas very quick. Yep, because villainous plot. The heroes lose if all locations are fully occupied by thugs. So that's actually kind of a neat, different one. There will be his picture. Yeah, again, 90s era. Look at this. Spikes on his hips, spikes on his shoulders, big, giant, gaudy, multi-layered helmet, with also like face prongs on the bottom. He's got an extra belt, big old cape. Terrifying, you know? I mean, he screams bad guy. So let's see what Stripe does. So the beginning cards are all pretty blah, you know, because of just movements and bams, placing civilians, placing thugs. They're all pretty even. Until we get to his special cards. Alright, so we're going to have 2 copies of Psionic Mastery. Until the beginning of the next villain turn, cancel all special effects on hero cards. Oh boy, that would suck. Then we have 2 copies of Telekinetic Mastery. Again, because there's not techno-organic virus, his mastery over his abilities. Move clockwise to the next location with the most heroes. Telekinetic Mastery deals 2 damage to each hero in Stripe's location. Then his threat cards. We got threats. We're going to get 3 copies of Force Fields. As long as this threat is in play, Stripe ignores 1 damage during each hero turn. Force Field effects are cumulative. So as long as you have beginning of the turn with all 3 are in play, he ignores 3 damage. And then you have to try and take them out. So he's going to be hard to beat. And then he has 3 copies of Legacy Virus. A hero starting their turn in this location chooses to either skip their draw a card step or ignore 1 action symbol at the bottom of the hero cards. Yeah, so that kind of sucks, weakening them up. I was kind of hoping they were going to, because they had the Dark Riders listed, I was hoping we were going to get some Dark Riders henchmen. But alas, we did not. But that would definitely be a fun thing to do, like, if they make expansions for this. You know, like add-ons, or extra versions of these characters. That would definitely be cool. Alright, so that's X-Force. We're going to get Cable and his team right off against Strife. Yeah, lots of aggression stuff. Little bit of a challenge with the new locations with the hazard icons. Otherwise, there's not much extra special about this. So if you're not really into these characters, you know, this might not be one you have to pick up. Like some of the other ones, they have a interesting challenge or extra locations that might draw you in, even if the characters necessarily don't. This one doesn't have that as much. But if you're an X-Men fan, you're probably going to love any of these characters anyhow. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.